Dear friends, most welcome to this session, a special session once again, because it is being dedicated to the birth anniversary of Baha'u'llah, founder of the Baha'i faith. This is his 206th birth anniversary, and we are indeed joyous and happy to be able to share the occasion with you, our loved ones, and thank you so much for joining us. Baha'u'llah's birth took place on October 17th, 1817. I'm going to trace parts of his life story with you before he declared his mission as a manifestation of God and after, and then juxtapose the luxury and the comfort that he enjoyed during his childhood and young age against the atrocities and the sufferings that he had to endure later, and then try and cover some of the crucial and momentous periods of his life so that we can all see how see actually the turn of events and how dramatic they were, and how absolutely heroic Baha'u'llah's traits were, strong his determination, and compelling his mission. And now I will just share a set of slides with you. Sorry, I think something went wrong. Just a second. Okay, let me do this once more. Can you see this?
Yes.
All right. That's good. So, yeah. So Baha'u'llah was born in 19th century Persia or Iran. And here we can see the house of Baha'u'llah, the house of Baha'u'llah's father, actually, where he was born. And he was born in a very noble family of illustrious lineage in 19th century Persia, as I said. And this house is now declared as a UNESCO heritage site. His father was a minister at the court of the king. And when Baha'u'llah was just a child, his father had a dream, a very strange dream. And on waking up, he called the dream interpreters, who explained to him that his child would have many enemies when he would grow up. And those enemies would try their best to harm him, but they would be powerless to do so. So Baha'u'llah's father, from then on, tried his level best to give Baha'u'llah even more comfort and luxury than he was already giving him. During the wedding of Baha'u'llah, for a full period of 6 months, every single goldsmith in the city of Tehran was engaged to make jewelry for Baha'u'llah's to-be wife. And all of that, together with the clothes of Baha'u'llah's to-be wife, which had buttons made of gold, were put on 40 camels and carried. As for the wedding feast, that is the food, it was offered 14 times to all the inhabitants of the city. Baha'u'llah was offered the position of a minister, just as his father had been. But he declined, saying that he only wanted to spend his time and wealth to help out the poor and the needy, as he already had been doing. In fact, he was known as the father of the poor. But once he started treading the divine path, the fiercest opposition rose against him in such a way that all he had was taken away from him in the course of a single night, leaving the family no dinner that night. From living in extreme luxury, they fell into destitution overnight. Baha'u'llah was put in the most notorious prison in the land, which was known as the Black Pit. It was an underground dungeon, dark, wholesome, humid, deep below the surface, with no windows or skylights. A heavy chain weighing 52 kgs was placed on his neck. Moreover, he was also chained with 150 criminals in such a way that if one of them moved, all the rest were compelled to move as well. Besides, his 2 thumbs were tied behind him, and this caused him extreme pain and discomfort. In this unspeakable condition, he spent not 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks, but 4 continuous months, scarcely eating, barely sleeping. This is what Baha'u'llah himself wrote about the dungeon. But before we read the quotation, here is another photograph of the dungeon So we can see the inside view of the black pit, the entrance, and the flight of stairs going down. And here is the quotation. Nabil, would you please kindly read this out for us?
Okay, I'm doing it. No pen can ever depict that place, nor any tongue describe its loathsome smell. Baha'u'llah.
Yes, thank you. Later, Baha'u'llah was exiled out of his country. During the chilly days of winter, along with his family, that included his pregnant wife and small children. Through storm and snow, treading mountainous paths, while they were given insufficient clothing and food. Baha'u'llah was exiled to a total of 3 continents and imprisoned for 40 years. And despite the fact that 2 powerful monarchs of his time, namely the king of Iran, Nasruddin Shah, and Sultan Abdul Aziz of the Ottoman Empire, joined hands together to put out his love from the hearts, his message spread far and wide, and he became the object of deep love and reverence wherever he went. In Baghdad, where he was first exiled, when the news of his further exile spread, the inhabitants there were totally and absolutely stricken with sorrow. A rare commotion was caused there. They wanted to pay their last tribute to him because he had been a true guide and a father to them, to each and every one of them, warming their hearts for more than a decade. Princes, poets, officials, chiefs, notables, the rich and the poor alike, workers, men, women, children, Muslims, Christians, Jews, they all wanted to go and meet Baha'u'llah one last time, and the house was too small to receive them. Najib Pasha, one of the notables in the city, placed his own garden that was outside the city of Baghdad, in the outskirts, at the disposal of Baha'u'llah, so that he could receive his guests there. It was in April 1863 that Baha'u'llah pitched his tent there in the garden and received the visitors there. And there he also openly declared his mission as a divine messenger. The garden was later known as the Garden of Rizwan, meaning the Garden of Paradise. When he declared his mission as a manifestation of God, he actually turned and transformed sorrow and weeping into joy and celebrating. After a series of exiles, Baha'u'llah was finally sent to Akka, the most notorious prison city of the world. This is a picture of the prison in Akka. The very definition of desolation and disease. The air was so heavily infested that birds flying over the skies dropped dead, and prisoners died a natural death due to lack of hygiene, drinking water, and food. Was indeed the ultimate spot for extermination. On the very first night, Baha'u'llah and his companions were deprived of food and water. Later, they were given inedible food and polluted water. Many fell ill. Some begged for water and food for the children, and they weren't given any. Some died. Baha'u'llah gave away his own rug on which he used to sleep so that it would be sold and the proceeds would be spent for a proper burial. The rug was taken away, but the dead were buried unshrouded and with no coffins. From within the gloomy walls of the prison city, Baha'u'llah addressed his letters to the crowned heads of the world. And this time, he declared his mission to them publicly. This was his public declaration as a divine messenger. He also advised them to rule with justice, to treat their subordinates as their treasures, and to convene a summit whereby they would all come together and discuss the foundations on which a universal, lasting peace could be established. This shows the picture of some of the crowned heads to whom Baha'u'llah wrote, addressed, and sent out his letters. Nasruddin Shah of Persia, who had ordered the imprisonment of Baha'u'llah in the Black Pit and later banished him out of his homeland, he received a letter. Next, Sultan Abdulaziz of Turkey, who joined hands with Nasruddin Shah to further banish Baha'u'llah in a vain effort to wipe out his influence upon the Arabs. Napoleon III, Emperor of France, who had cast behind him the tablet of Baha'u'llah, he received a second letter. Queen Victoria of England, who responded positively. Alexander III, Tsar of Russia. Kaiser William I of Prussia. Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria. Pope Pius IX. And, all right. In 1870, military reinforcements were sent out to that part of the Ottoman Empire that included Akka. And so the prison fortress was needed for their accommodation. Therefore, the prisoners were moved out and conducted to small houses. Now, the officials in Akka could not bring themselves up to moving Baha'u'llah to a small house in Akka and to imposing the harsh injunctions of the government seated in Constantinople, because they were acutely aware of the noble character of Baha'u'llah. The governor in Akka clearly said to Baha'u'llah that he is free to move out of Akka and live out of Akka whenever and wherever he pleased. But Baha'u'llah said he had to be obedient to the government that had exiled him. And he continued to live in Akka until the time came. And then Abdul Baha, his son, rented out a house for him in the outskirts of Akka. This was known as Bahji. This is the house. It didn't look like this during the lifetime of Baha'u'llah. This was much later renovated. In 1819, 2 years before, Baha'u'llah passed away, Professor Edward Granville Brown, a well-known scholar from Cambridge, England, traveled to meet him. And the following passages are from the record of his interview. I'm going to ask dear Mel to read out these passages for us, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My conductor paused for a moment while I removed my shoes. Then, with a quick movement of the hand, he withdrew, and as I passed, replaced the curtain. I found myself in a large apartment, along the upper end of which ran a low divan. A second or two elapsed here, with a throb of wonder and awe, and I became definitely conscious that the room was not untenanted. In the corner, where the divan met the wall, sat a wondrous and venerable figure, crowned with a headdress of the kind called Taj, but of unusual height and make. The face of him on whom I gazed I can never forget, though I cannot describe it. Those piercing eyes seemed to read one's very soul. Power and authority sat on that ample brow, while the deep lines on the forehead and face implied an age which the jet black hair and beard flowing down in indistinguishable luxuriance almost to the waist seemed to belie. No need to ask in whose presence I stood, as I bowed myself before one who is the object of a devotion and love which kings might envy and emperors sigh for in vain. A mild, dignified voice bade me be seated, and then continued, "Praise be to God that thou hast attained. Thou hast come to see a prisoner and an exile. We desire but the good of the world and the happiness of the nations, yet they deem us a stirrer up of strife and sedition, worthy of bondage and banishment. That all nations should become one in faith, and all men as brothers that the bonds of affection and unity between the sons of men should be strengthened, that diversity of religion should cease, and differences of race be annulled. What harm is there in this? Yet so it shall be. These fruitless strife, these ruinous wars shall pass away, and the most great peace shall come. This strife and this bloodshed and discord must cease, and all men be one kindred and one family. Let not a man glory in that he loves his country. Let him rather glory in that he loves his kind.
Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you. That was beautifully recited. Friends, we have earlier discussed that the pivotal principle of Baha'u'llah, which is the oneness of mankind, and his aim, which is the establishment of world peace and unity, have a twofold approach. So Baha'u'llah's approach towards the establishment of world peace is twofold: individual transformation and structural change or transformation. In individual transformation happens when one widens one's loyalties to embrace all of humanity in its entire diversity. And we widen our loyalties. And structural change involves the collective will of the nations of the earth, entails the unification of the nations in a world government and a world commonwealth, establishment of a world parliament, supreme tribunal, and an international police force, amongst other agencies. Just let me say a bit more about this. Individual transformation and structural change are both necessary. One cannot do without the other. They are actually interrelated. Individual transformation happens when we widen our loyalties to embrace all humanity in all its diversity, yes. You see, the love of humanity includes the love of one's country. It cannot but include. The only thing that does not include is bias and prejudice. That's what it does not include. Othering is absolutely ruled out. If we notice throughout the ages, individuals, groups, communities have othered some other individuals, communities, and groups, even followers of religions. And this has caused conflicts, wars, even bloodshed. The most interesting thing to know is that for the first time, a messenger of God has clearly and emphatically announced that God does not even divide the tree of humanity into believers and non-believers, let alone other diversities. You see, we have always seen, things like believers and non-believers. They have always been emphatically differentiated against. Not this time. In the Baha'i writings, we see that God has been likened to the sun. The sun shines equally on all, on everything that's on earth, everything. There's no difference. We might close our doors and windows, might shut ourselves out That's our choice. If we do that, we do not receive the sun's light and heat. That's our choice. We have opted for such a choice. But the sun is there all right, it's shining. So God is kind, like a kind and compassionate Father. He loves us all. There's no difference. But if He wants to bless us all, be compassionate to all, not only He wants to, He is. His blessings and His bounties is open to all. But if we don't want to receive it, then we don't, because we have shut ourselves out. So that's the thing. Now, equality has been announced. Humanity needs to rearrange patterns of individual and collective lives to manifest that oneness between all members of the human race. There's no us and them. There's only us. Only us. And all embracing humanity. And about structural change, yes, it involves the collective will of the nations of the earth. It's not enough for people, for individuals, to acknowledge their oneness if we all continue to live in a disunited world. So the principle of the oneness of mankind entails the unification of the nations of the earth in a world government and a world commonwealth. It also necessitates the establishment of structures such as a world parliament, supreme tribunal, international police force, amongst other such structures. Baha'u'llah succeeded in creating a community that is undivided. The Baha'i community is a single entity, a single world community. There are no sects, and it has consistently persevered through a century and a half to cement the hearts of the peoples of the world together so that the diversities of race, nation, culture, language, and color and ethnicities may be celebrated. It also can be seen as an enlarging example of a full spectrum of humanity living in more than 250 countries and independent territories. And this last photograph here, this last slide here, shows us a photograph of the Baha'i International Convention, which is held once in every 5 years to elect the Baha'i International Governing Body, referred to as the Universal House of Justice, which is elected through secret ballots, no nominations, no candidates. And these are the members of all the national spiritual assemblies, national governing bodies throughout the Baha'i world community. They are the ones who go and elect the Universal House of Justice as a international governing body. And they are from various nations, as you see, cultures, background, diverse ethnicities, and definitely languages and diverse backgrounds. And they are yet totally united. This ends our slide presentation. Thank you so much for being so patient and listening so patiently and courteously. I'm much honored and much grateful. And now we have the open floor discussion. We would be much honored if you would share with us anything you would like to say from your heart, anything you want to share, you want to, any stories, any questions, anything at all. Thank you so much.
Mojan Khanum, that was a wonderful presentation. That was lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moshi. Really excellent. Thanks.
Hello to everybody. Sorry I was a bit late, and I really enjoyed all Mujgan explained, and I really love Baha'u'llah, Bab, Abdul Baha. I respect all of them. Though I'm not Baha'i, but I love them and I respect them, and the ideology I appreciate.
Thank you so much, Fakhri Khanum. It's so lovely to have you with us. So lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your loving words as well.
Thank you very much, Mujgan.
The conditions in the pit, is it the pit?
Yes, Black Pit.
Oh, just terrible. What a terrible way to be kept. Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's much more to add to it. I just wanted to, I just didn't add all of it for the sake of brevity. But you know, the worst thing is that, you know, he was standing and then they put that chain on him, 52 kgs, he actually fell down. It's simply unspeakable, unthinkable.
I heard that chain weight was 100 kilos, if I'm not mistaken.
Pardon?
It was 100 kilos. That was the weight of the chain, which is called
52.
Garekahar. In Turkish language, that was the name of the chain called Garekahar. And it was like 100 kilos, you know. Naturally, Baha'u'llah couldn't stand. I mean, he always sat on the floor with the chain over his neck. Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to tell that, you know, that Black Pit was not a proper jail. It was once upon a time the place, septic tank of the residence of the king. So it was when they took him there, and when he sat till his, you know, half of his body was went in the dirty water. Means while he was sitting till his, what we say here, the dirty water, and even worms were there, and he had to, and they thought that he will die there. So for 4 months he was there, and once the doctor of the king, who was a foreigner from it was European doctor
from Austria. From Austria.
Yes. He was treating the king, Nasruddin Shah, and then he started shaking. The king started.
Siyamajan.
I think his internet was cut off.
Yeah, I think so.
That was the Black Pit, or Siyah Chal was the.
Sorry, someone phoned. I'm so sorry. The king started to shake, And then the doctor said, why you are shaking? He said, are you not hearing the voices of the babies? He said, so what is and then he asked, what has happened? He said that they are praying. And then he said, do you want to go and see them? And he said, yes, I want to go and see, because he saw the king was so shaken. So he thought, let me go and see the leader of them. So they took him inside. He had to go down few steps down, and then in the darkness, he saw Baha'u'llah. So he said that he told him that I am the doctor of the king, and just I have to come to see your welfare. What do you want to say? He said, you don't need to hear from us. You can understand the situation. And just he left. So it is in one of the memories of the doctor, he has written in a memory. And just you imagine his son, Abdul Baha, also, he was 9 years old, and he decided to see his father. So with a lot of requests, one of the prisoner put him on his own shoulder and went down towards Baha'u'llah. And in the darkness, Baha'u'llah saw him, and he just cried out and said, don't bring him, let him go, take him out. And then they took him out, and he sat, every day for half an hour or 1 hour, they were taking them out on a field just to get fresh air and just to move around. So, and the young boy, 9 years old, when he saw his father, he became senseless. And then they took him to the house. Yeah.
Mojakham, can I make a comment?
Please.
There was also, in one case, there was a barbecue at the courtyard at the presidential palace, and Nasruddin Shah felt sorry, supposedly, for the prisoners. So he ordered sending out some kebab to the prisoners, and Baha'u'llah simply refused to accept those kebab. And he said, no, we don't take it. Except few, but Baha'u'llah himself refused.
This is just a proof the power of the words of God. And I feel that in the history at large, for all the spiritual teachers, manifestations of God, that humanity did not understand. Only a handful of people understood them and being with them, went through the physical tortures or whatever was given to them, like Christ was put on a cross. Did anybody know then the handful of Christians, handful, who were illiterate, no money, nothing, they could change the world? Nobody knew then the power of words of God. Similarly, when Baha'u'llah in the dungeon spoke about the unity of mankind, most of the leaders of the world didn't understand. But Baha'u'llah very confirmly, affirmatively, confidently said, it's going to happen. Right now, the world at large has only one question: why in the world is still the war going on? It's because the social media is not picking up the positive news. There's a lot of positive thing happening. A lot of people, whether Baha'is or not, believing in unity of mankind, working on that project, I was in Haifa 2011. Yeah, 2011 was last visit with my family, and I saw in one place they had Islamic sign, Jewish sign, Christian signs, and these three signs they put symbol in one banner, and they made a club. This is in the heart of Haifa. Their purpose was to bring peace and unity among the diverse group. But that's not making any news. So what I'm trying to say is the positive thing, even though the social media is not bringing out, we right now in this platform, we know that's going to happen, peace is going to happen. And the world leaders, today or tomorrow, they're going to recognize that ego has to calm down. Their lust and greed has to get out of their way because it's hurting them too. Most of them don't realize that handful of people trying to rule economy and power and lust, thinking that their family is not suffering, it's going to happen. As Baha'u'llah says, humanity is like one human body. If one part of the body is affected, the other parts of the body does suffer. So it's going to happen. Prevailing question right now is going on with news, so much going on. What are Baha'is doing? So when Mosgan Khanum said about question, the only thing came in my mind is the prevailing questions like, what are Baha'is doing for bringing peace and unity? Well, the Baha'is are working to build virtue because by laws and orders, you cannot rectify the situation. The situation currently is like a sickness, and this sickness can be healed by internal changes, as in the PowerPoint we saw that somebody has to believe that I'm human, I'm spiritual, and there's a life after death, and it's not only me, it's us. Life is not just 60 years or 70 years or even 100 years in this world. Life is much more than that, because if your children suffer, you suffer. If your grandchildren suffer, you suffer. So the suffering and happiness is forever and ever and ever. And if somebody affects the other person, if your neighbor suffers, you suffer too. So it's such a domino effect. People are realizing and are working. So Baha'is are working as a what do you call the spiritual empowerment workshop program all over the world. And it's surrounding by the community members. Even in America, Heart of America, many places we are making a difference and changes, even though that's not making a news, that is going to really change the world things. I just wanted to bring that Baha'u'llah's word that he says, so shall it be, this ruinous war will finish. It's a wonderful thing. Can you imagine somebody sitting in a prison saying to the person who sent him in the prison that you have to get out of your lust and greed and power and think about humanity?
Anyone else likes to say anything?
I agree with Nargis Khanum, Mojan Khanum,
Yes.
that Baha'u'llah wasn't just simply thinking of his suffering, he was thinking of the welfare of the humanity at the time where he was spending his time at Siacha.
Oh, Jannatul Firdaus says she couldn't hear me. I hope everything is okay. Electronics sometimes plays such a...
Actually, we heard you. We could hear you, but that was weak. But we heard.
Yeah, you did?
About,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry. That's been recorded. That's a good thing. Yeah, in a that where I am right now in America is always the question, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and people are thinking the way of saying that what are you doing is that their vision is which political group are you working to bring a change? And when we say we are non-political, they think like, oh, you're not doing anything. You know, what's your active participation? And so the biggest active participation is we are cleaning the root cause of this war, and it's working good, positively taking charge. We had in America 3 big young people, I would say, midlife, and they have plays, they're all from the Hollywood related to that, to change the face of people's thinking. You know, like people are thinking that entertainment has to be lust and greed in drama. They're going to change it to saying entertainment can be purely spiritual with our own understanding who we are, you know, and the sense of integrity, true integrity as a human being, you know, bring it up. So things are happening.
That's encouraging to hear. Very encouraging.
Mm.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Mel.
I said it's very encouraging to hear the
Oh.
good things as well that are happening, but I think it is difficult to have any of these conversations without thinking about the current situation in the Middle East. So I agree with Nargis. It's important to contextualize everything, isn't it, into the reality of what's happening now, and how can things be implemented the right way now. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Are people talking about it much in Bangladesh?
Pardon?
Are people talking about the problems in the Middle East? Are they talking about that much in Bangladesh?
People are talking a lot about the Middle Eastern problem nowadays.
Okay.
There are lots of concerns over the atrocities which are happening in Gaza at this moment.
Yeah.
But nobody is actually talking about what Hamas is doing to the Israelis. So it's actually a one-sided narrative which is going on in Bangladesh. So yeah, pretty
sure.
much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're quite aware, and there are lots of news spreading up, and it's really difficult to keep track which ones are true and which ones are propaganda and everything. I'm still learning about it. Because this is a situation where you can't pick one side over one, that this one is evil and this one is the hero. You can't just. It's a bloody battle, but people are taking sides.
Yeah.
But,
I wondered if it was making people quite agitated. I wondered.
Yeah, they're quite agitated.
Yeah. It's slightly.
And they're even poking people to post stories on their social medias. Say, why are you so quiet? Why are you not posting anything about it?
Yeah.
If you're not posting anything about it, you can't stay neutral. Only evil people can be neutral and everything.
Oh.
And everything. But
this is why I wanted to,
I personally can't
bring it up,
side with
Yeah.
anyone. You are launching 2,000 missiles over another country, and one country is also avenging that, which is also not good. Both sides have problems, and there must be some diplomatic solutions out of this. You can't fight like this. Blood cannot be a solution. But it's all about ego, right? In the end of the day.
Like,
yeah.
When the time of
You know,
when the first thing
should I tell something?
Yeah,
When
sure.
Please.
when you know, British left that area of the world, there was a committee of United Nations. They wrote a letter to the head of the Baha'i faith and asked him, what is your opinion? To whom we give the power to take care of the country? So he replied very nicely. If you want, I will send to all of you this, you know, his reply. the gist is this, that whatever government might be there in the future in this area, Jews and Christian and Muslims, they should feel in peace and they have to live in harmony. So he said that we don't have any side with any group, but the right of each and every group has to be maintained, and because otherwise there will be hatred and problem in the community. And he said that because Baha'i faith is an independent faith, next government, whatever government will be there, should give us this independent nature, so that they should not influence on us, and we are not going to be involved with their government. So frankly, because Baha'is, they believe in love and unity, so they support only peace, nothing else. And until and unless all these people, there were few wars, I think 4 to 5 times war last 70 years in that area. And each time, political leaders, they thought that, okay, let me destroy the other group and get the land. But this was not the way. And, some of them in one stage, they came to senses and they said, okay, let us sit and talk. And they sat and talked, and they got back the land which they lost. And unfortunately, unfortunately in Iran, there is a government who is who doesn't want peace among all these people. So they sent money, weapons to proxies who are so weak, such a strong government, and making, training hundreds of, militias. Of course, they cannot fight with that. This is not the way. And by this way, they are creating more disharmony among those two nations. And at the end of the story, they have to come and sit and talk. And this is not a story only about Palestine, even all over the world. Look at the Ukraine and Russia. Just someone wishing to grab another nation's land, they created such a hell that we sitting in Bangladesh, we are feeling that. The cost of things has more or less has become double. And frankly, thousands and thousands of people from the cities, they have migrated to the villages because there is no job. That means effect of one war is coming to a place where there is peace. So that is why Baha'is, they are working for the establishment of world unity and world citizenship and world peace. So when there is world peace and there is world government, there will not be any need of any army. There will be a kind of world police force to take care of the affairs of the entire world. And so all these expenses which are being expended for arms and armies will be used for the betterment of society. Sorry, too much talk.
That was great, Shaman John. Thank you.
It's always good to hear.
Thank you.
Everybody. But I personally believe that young generation who can see from both sides, they grew up in a darkness, seeing that there's a light of hope. They have the knowledge, and they are able to change the world because they believe that we affect each other. And so our really hope is a junior youth empowerment workshops all around the world, making a big difference. And that's my only news that I like to spread out whenever the topic comes, because the prevailing topics are so confusing. As somebody made a comment, when you are neutral, you are, what did you say? If you are neutral, you are something. Not working or something.
But it was a negative thing, that it was considered a bad thing to be neutral. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an evil thing, only an evil person can be, yeah.
But it's such
Evil,
a positive and such a positive and powerful thing that they have no idea. This is what, unfortunately, electronic news media is not making us the big news, because negative has been making money, and money has become people's lust and greed and power. There are many YouTubers are making negative news. I know there's many fake news coming in a YouTube from Bangladesh that people are just making money out of it. You know, people just want to view. A lot of what they call it, the number of views give you money or something like that. So this project is a project of lust and greed, but the truth is more powerful, and it will speak by itself. The character of young people will lead the situation, as every era did. So I'm really hopeful and spread the word that Junior Youth Empowerment Workshop is very, very powerful, making a big difference, even in the heart of America, which one of the, Rainn Wilson, you know, he's a famous actor. Everybody knows him. He was telling in his interview that's so sad that he had to let down so many offers because they wanted him to do some roles which is not moral character. And he said, we want to uplift the moral value of human life and integrity. And so he said, we are going to change the world. So he joined hand with somebody and trying to, it's a process that going to be very strong, just like every other era. When Islam came, the Arabs did not believe that they have to give up the war between the generations. You know, the generations war were carried on, but it got rid of. The Ummah Muslim, you know, the got established, even though the bloodshed happened and everything. And Islam doesn't say anything bad about war. And same thing in the Jewish. They don't say anything about war. So we know it's a very simple, logical understanding that who is gaining in the name of something which is life? Somebody who's making money. And very soon, the powerful group of these young people will get up, will rise up. They're getting up there. I'll make a change. With that belief in our head, I really love this presentation which Muzgan did and everybody added. And this is the 2 cents I wanted to share here, because in America, it is a big talk of the town. Things are happening. People are getting killed for no reason. And then, you know, some people are making big difference. So thank you for holding this platform, Muzgan, and giving us.
Thank you so much, Nargishan.
It's so good to see everybody.
Thank you for invitation.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Same with you. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, Muzgan.
Thank you, Auntie. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Majin
care.
Khanum. Thank you, Siamak
Take
Jan.
care.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone.
Thank you. Mel, I had a video. I saw a video tablet to the Queen of England,
Oh, yeah?
but it was in Persian.
Oh.
But I got another video about 1 hour tablets of Baha'u'llah to kings and rulers. Among them, Queen also is there.
Oh.
I put it in this.
Oh,
Did you see the
yes.
message?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can go through
Thank
it, and
you.
Thank you may enjoy.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank
Because
you.
Queen,
Wonderful.
this Queen. Sorry, let me
Yeah.
finish my words.
Yeah.
She was the only
finishing
queen.
meeting, no?
Pardon?
The link will disappear after finishing the meeting.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so you have to. Yeah. Then you have to send it individually, I think.
Oh, really? Or we can copy it from the chat. Can we copy
Yeah.
it?
Oh, it was in
If
the
you don't
chat.
copy it, yes, you have to
I
copy it and
Yeah, but
other
then,
than disappear.
yeah,
did you see the chat?
yeah, but the link
Yeah,
is not. I can't see the link to copy it.
Okay, you
Yeah, I saw
write
the
it.
chat. There is no
It
link.
is
Right
written the
click and then
tablets of
just save.
Baha'u'llah.
You can save. From right click, you can just save this file.
Okay. Okay. Copy and save or save as. Yeah. Okay.
It is written the tablets of Baha'u'llah to the king and rulers of the world by some like that.
Yeah. We can Google. Yeah.
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 And I wanted to tell that she was the only. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can
she
hear.
was
Yeah.
the only ruler among all the rulers who did not give attention to the tablets, because especially to the Queen, Baha'u'llah has written very special letter, and I will find the English what is called, if there is any English translation of the speech, I will send you. But then, she was the only ruler that after receiving the tablet of Baha'u'llah, she replied that if Baha'u'llah is true messenger of God, his words will prevail all over the world.
Okay.
He was the only one who gave positive response.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what he
And
meant to
if
say.
you look at the history of all these kings, all of them were destroyed. It means their kingship went, their power, they lost their power. Some of them in a miserable way, like Napoleon. But this queen, still her ancestors are in power.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
She's the only one.
Yeah.
She's the only one whose generation, is still on the throne.
How
The
interesting.
throne
Yeah.
has been preserved.
Yeah. It is interesting. I have to say that the recent queen who died,
yes,
she was a very religious person, and
yes.
she was very committed to her faith.
Yes. Yes.
And I was really impressed. She was very she had a lot of integrity and really, very strong faith.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was a good meeting. Thank you, Mojgan. Really nice.
You're so welcome. It was wonderful having you. Wonderful. Really, thank you so much for giving us time.
Oh, everyone.
Thank you, Mashwan Khanum, for the presentation, for the gathering, for the
welcome. Take excellent care of yourself, please.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you all.
Likewise. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
everyone.
Semajan.
Take care. God bless.
God bless you.
Thank you, Shompa. Thank you, Hira. Thank you,
all.
Parisman. Thank
Okay,
you,
bye-bye.
Mr. Hassan.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye. Good
Bless you.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.